In the city of Los Angeles right now, we have somewhere between 70 and 100,000 people. We don't know for sure how many people are homeless. Right now, we have to get people inside, because if we continue to allow the homeless population to grow, continue to allow people on the streets to die, to have mental illness unchecked, to have addictions unchecked, business will implode. The neighborhoods will implode, public safety will go away, and our city will be crying out for help if we're not already.
Right? I mean, this is...
Those are campers. Those are not
suburban camps.
This is a reality, guys.
All those people are living out of their campers.
They don't have a house.
Some have kids that go to school.
They cannot have a house, so they
can't
have to
afford
live
it.
there. They have to live in these things. I mean, look at this.
Next opportunity to talk to people, not today.
Now, about 60% of people we meet on the street put their hand up straight away and say, hell yes, I'm ready to do anything. I want to get off the street. There's another 20% or 25% of people who go, you know what, I actually don't need your help. If the encampments are going away, I'll get off the street myself. And they'll do what's called self-resolve. They have family, they have friends, they have a job. They can actually break the cycle of homelessness themselves. Now, that misnomer that there's people on the street who don't want to come inside, it's true. There's probably about 10 to 15% of those people. And they're the people who have been out there a long time. They're the chronically homeless, bigger amounts of mental health issues, bigger amounts of addiction issues, and it's going to be very expensive and very hard for us to get them in. The first step, where we are in the city of Los Angeles right now, is getting that 60 to 70% of people who want to get off the street straight away. So this site here is LA's first tiny home village. We absolutely go out into a catchment zone, which is somewhat about 3.5 miles. Now, the reason that's so important is if you're going to have a homeless shelter in your community, you should see people coming off the street in your community. You should see your neighborhood clean up. Likewise, in Los Angeles, there is such resistance to homeless shelters. Every time we open one of these sites, we get the death threats and we get all of these sorts of things. So it pushes a little bit of that back by being able to say, you know what, this is going to benefit your community, and there's not going to be people coming from other parts of the city. It's not going to create a magnet for the homeless coming to your neighborhood. And the very first thing that's going to happen is we're going to go pick you up in our van, we're going to bring you in, and you're going to go through security. We're going to lay everything that you own out here, and we're going to go through it to make sure there's no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. So as soon as you've gone through that, you're going to come in and you're going to experience our tiny homes. So come straight through here and we'll kind of show you what it's like to join our tiny home community. So the very first thing you're going to do is come over to our hot showers here, and you're going to have the longest, hottest shower that you've ever had. You're going to get a clean pair of underwear, because that just makes you feel human again. Okay, so you've got the shower on the left, the toilet on the right, and each and every one of our guests, the very first thing that they're going to do is they're going to get a hot shower, clean clothes, clean underwear, just so they can feel human. Now, once you've had a hot shower, the next bit of magic that we believe in is eating way too much food. But you're going to sit over here and you're going to eat until you are completely full and you basically feel alive again. We have laundry facilities here. We're going to throw all your clothes in the laundry facility, and then you're going to sit down with the real people who make magic. Now, our case managers are the best people in the world because we believe people are pretty awesome. In fact, humans are incredible. They'll overcome about 90% of everything in their lives, but sometimes there's a big blockage, whether it's mental health, an addiction issue, trauma from past violence, or maybe just a series of incredibly dumb choices. So they're going to sit with a case manager. They're going to work out what is it that's made the person homeless and keeping them there. And then at that moment, they're going to build a case plan for however long it takes. So now you've got a case plan, we're going to bring you into our tiny home village. We actually don't have any empty units at the moment, but we'll sneak down and see if we can find somebody who wants to show them. That one. Each of these units is housing either 1 or 2 people. depending on whether you're an individual or a couple. Now, one of the best things about this site is how each and every person personalizes the unit for themselves. People making a home because there's some pride in ownership here.
Can I film you? Yeah? Okay, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Nice. But you keep a nice place. You keep it so neat.
Yeah. Please.
What do you keep? So you have like your closet here?
Yeah, it's my little, wardrobe that
Yeah.
just very simple.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is enough space?
You know what? It is, but maybe just a little. I mean, I don't know. Me, like personally, I would a shower.
Your own shower.
Yeah, my own shower.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it seems like you keep things neat, so you maybe like your own.
real like particular, and certain things. I'm real like, ooh, tidy
Yeah.
and picky.
Exactly. No, it seems like you have this place organized.
Yeah, I mean, I'm organized. So that's just my my person.
Yeah. How long were you without housing before you moved here?
You know what? It's a little weird one. Like,
Yeah.
like for 2014, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So you were 7 years on the street? No.
About. I mean,
Were you
if
really?
you really.
Did you have a tent?
You know what? At the very end, I got a tent.
Yeah.
It's cool. It feels good.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't feel hot. It's so there is some good insulation probably.
Yeah, there is.
And also the other thing is that there is some space. You don't have the feeling it's cramped. It's very high.
Right.
And when you want a table, you use the tables outside, or you
I'll use here the.
Yeah.
And do you wash your own bedding, or do people come? Do they switch it out for you?
We wash. We're.
You do your own wash.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's not hotel service here.
No. I'd be embarrassed. Wow.
Yeah. It's really your own house.
Yeah.
For finding this place, how long were you on the streets? Or were you on the streets or just not have a house?
Oh, I didn't have a place, so I went through a divorce, and then I became homeless. I met a friend, and she had some tents up here by Chandler, and then I signed up for here, and here I am. Don't want to leave, but I gotta leave.
Really? You don't want to leave?
Well, it's nice. It's nice here. You have to get used to a curfew.
Okay.
But I've been in prison many times, where I had to have a curfew, and had to go inside myself, So I wasn't used to it, but I had to get used to it again,
What do you do when you have to get inside? You read, you watch.
You can come out, you can come back out, but you can't go out of the facility.
Okay.
But you could, if you had something to do, you just sign out and let them know. And then you come back, by 6 in the morning, you have to come back and
They
check
just
back
want
in.
to
Yeah, sign in and sign out, be here for count, and your meals or whatever. Yeah.
What time is the curfew?
The curfew is from 10 p.m. to 6 in the morning. Hi, baby.
So sweet.
Yeah. My other dog was stolen from me.
Where does he sleep? Right here?
He sleeps right here in his bed. I have it up here because I was going to sweep him off the floor. This is my bed. And then I have, less stuff. I'm going to wash some stuff right now.
This is your
Some
laundry?
blankets. Yeah, my laundry I'm going to do right now. I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
It's easy. Just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's another thing. You get to wash your stuff. Don't have to be worried about what you're going to wear the next day and stuff. Yeah.
Because when you were in the tent, did you have a shower?
No, we used to have to go to churches and stuff to take a shower. Yeah.
And was that kind of difficult?
Yeah, it was kind of difficult because you had to know what church is and what time, to be there. Yeah. So it was kind of rough.
And for meals?
For meals, they would feed you at the church
At the
also.
church,
Yeah.
You had to, and now you have some food in here, no?
Yes, I have plenty of food and coffee. They supply the air conditioning there already. It goes real cold.
Yeah.
And then the heater, we got a heater that's here built in already. So that's pretty good.
That is
when
pretty
you come, to a place like this and you have a cooler and a heater, that is really good. That's 100% good.
Yeah.
And then my son got me a TV. Yeah. I mean, I'm satisfied with this. People have to, if they want to be, if they're homeless, a lot of people don't want to come to places like this.
No?
No. The homeless people,
Why?
Why do you think?
they say because the check in and check out, and they're not used to, people, telling them what to do and what not to do.
I think that's not freedom.
Yeah, they figure it's not part of freedom. I don't know. I learned to accept it. You know, I had to accept it. This is their play area. You put them in there and you unchain them and they can just play with the other dogs or yeah.
It's really a full community.
Yeah, it's like a little community. And a lot of people, they don't want to separate from their pets. So it's good. We eat right here on these benches right here.
Okay.
Yeah, they serve the food right there by the office. You don't always have your next meal, you know, when you're homeless, you know. And when I came here, I was just like, you know, because I have everything here, you know. And they get, you know, I always tell them, I don't want to go nowhere, I don't care.
But that's not an option.
No, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want you on your feet and they want you to get it ready to go. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
fabulous.
So you have a pillow that says one day at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
You think that's a good message?
It's a message for me, and it helps.
Yeah.
I wake up to that every day, one day at a time.
yeah.
Yeah. When I was using drugs, you know, they know, people know, and the facility knows, just your reactions or whatever. And then when I told them that I was ready to get clean and I was working on it, they can tell. They can tell. And I can tell that they accept me and they were happy to hear that. And they know when. And they started talking to me. They always talk to me, but it was more conversation, more, you know, hi, how you doing? And glad to see you're going the right way. Yeah, stuff like that. So it's good to hear
When
that.
was that? Was that while you're here or before?
No, it was when I was here.
When you're here?
Yeah.
Was this a place that felt like you finally could say,
Exactly. It was because I could look forward to a place of my own. Yeah, and that's good. Because it's hard to get a place these days. It's hard. And pay that rent? Oh,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for stopping by.
yeah,
I really appreciate that. Whenever you guys want to stop by. Yeah.
great. Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll have your own little house the next time.
I know, huh? Yep. Hopefully. Yeah.
So it used to be that 85% of our, just less than 4 years ago, 85% of our houseless people were from this city. We also had no clear idea of how many people were homeless, but it was considered to be between 3,000 and 6,000, depending on who you were talking to. But since the acceleration of the economic disparity, people have been coming from the interior of the country where it's oftentimes way too hot or way too cold for people to be able to survive. And more people have been just thrown out of their housing. So there's thousands more people, millions more people on the West Coast who I would say who are homeless than ever before. It doesn't have to be like people see most of the time, where people are just stumbling around with filth all around them and strung out on drugs. One of the things that is a virtue of our city is that we have these DIY models where people can actually be stable on a piece of land and work with other people. We have all these permutations on the idea of people being able to self-organize and kind of not just organize a shelter, but actually organize to make decisions together and to keep each other safe, to keep each other secure, to make sure everybody's fed and everybody has access to health.
So Dignity Village was unprecedented.
It's the first of what it is, but it's informed by, you know, all kinds of initiative. So there's this essential template, and the basic self-governing guidelines are always the same. The conditions for being there, like, you know, no violence, no drugs, no theft, no continuous disruption, things like that. Basic agreements. And as we approach Dignity, you can see that there are a lot of people out here who are kind of close to the village. and probably get some services from the village. But what we're seeing right now is the result of the inaction of the current mayor, because we now have a model that would serve all of these people. And the difference between Dignity Village and what we just saw in the street is just simply the desire to do anything. Yeah, we can park in there, I think. About 5 years ago, the mayor that we had then just declared, as of winter, in like 4 months, all of the women will be off the street. And he accomplished that. And then he said all of the veterans will be off the street next, and he accomplished that. That was just kind of beautiful and sickening too. Like, wow, so this is how easy it is just to decide to do something. Of course, they have to declare a state of emergency so that they can waive building and planning codes temporarily. But you know, there's all these buildings out there that are just sitting there, or vacant spaces, and all people really need is a space to lay down a bedroll and a place to go to the bathroom and get water. Hi, I'm Mark. I called you earlier.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were here for something for Lisa. Here, give me just a minute.
Okay.
So each unit is quite different. So the idea is that there's lots of experimentation.
Yeah. This one happens to be the gatehouse, but there are 5 other straw clay structures here in the village, and most everything's made out of recycled materials. And here is the president of the village. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
How are you doing?
We just got back from a river rafting trip with most of the village, so I've never been rafting before in my life, and I lived on the Road River for years.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to kind of run back home because my shoes are, well, I lost one up on the trip. So let me go home, grab a pair of shoes so I can casually walk with you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Because otherwise I'm going to be tiptoeing.
So you need a place for security, so this is their gatehouse. You need an administrative office where people can organize and store things, make decisions, and lately to have computers. You need commercial spaces, and so these buildings here receive donations, they process them, they put them on eBay to sell them. So if there are donations, you know, if they have more donations than they actually need for themselves, then they can use it as a resource to, you know, pay bills or something. So as you move around the village, you see gathering places everywhere. This building, it's the great common house of the community, so it's big enough for a large amount of the village to be able to be together, to stay warm in the wintertime and also to make decisions together. There's, you know, facility for showering, there's a facility for cooking, everybody has places to live.
Yeah, we have people that don't ever want to move out.
Yeah.
We are, to our knowledge, the only city-sanctioned, self-supporting, self-governing homeless community in North America. But $75 a month per person, how can anybody go wrong with that? You have a roof over your head, you have a door you can lock, you're safe, your family, your pets can all be with you, and we become a family.
We're in Canada.
You pay all of our own bills. The only thing that is granted to us is the land that we're on. And it was the leaf composting site. So how much does that really cost in the other general population? And that's what I love. And the fact that we don't have a mortgage.
We tried a lot of different solutions, and in fact, Dignity had a nomadic phase of more than a year, moving from site to site, very strategically, sometimes arriving on sites to set up their village, their ephemeral nomadic village, in a way where they chose the site to be polarizing. They wanted to bring the city council to the conversation. And they were upsetting so many wealthy people whose neighborhoods they were going into that the city council finally had to assent and say, okay, fine, we'll talk, we'll find you a site. The village is 2 acres, just below 2 acres.
How many people?
65.
We can have up to 60. We tend to run about 52 to 55.
How long have you been here?
11 years.
Wow. And so you live on site?
Yes.
Yeah. And where were you living before?
I was out on the streets for 2 years with my husband who lives with me here. He's the man of my dreams. He went through schizophrenia. He finally got here, got on meds, got off meds, got on meds. He's now been off meds for 7 years and he's got it under control. And it's because of being safe here. But it works.
Is everyone welcome?
As long as you're over the age of 18 and homeless. We'll put you on our wait list and eventually you'll get in here.
Long wait list?
But probably 4, maybe 5 on the wait list right now.
Okay. And how long do people usually stay?
Probably 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
And some of those cases, it took a couple years for Scott to get better, with his head. So it takes a while for some of that to happen and then for us to heal.
So, some of these tiny homes, when you look around, you see an incredible diversity of ways that people actually create shelter. Some of them have solar panels, some of them have water catchment. Everyone's kind of collecting stuff around them and doing their projects. Obviously, this person is passionate about bikes. This person has some sort of equipment that they might be using in some sort of job. A lot of these people, maybe most of the people here at the village, actually do work for a living, but in the American reality, they can't quite make enough to pay for living in a conventional circumstance. So this helps people, not to fall through the cracks of the society. I think some people are saying, well, these are homeless people. What are you talking about? They're broken. And homeless people are the first ones to admit that they have challenges, but they also, everyone thrives when they have responsibility. This place has had for long periods of time the lowest crime rate per capita in the city and the highest rate of community participation. But part of what makes it happen is this kind of model where Dignity Village will take trees that are cut down in the urban environment, instead of having them just thrown into the dump or mulched. Instead, Dignity cuts up these trees and then seasons them to then sell them to Portlanders to then meet their fuel needs. So here are people that have all kinds of skills and talents, and they can certainly contribute to meeting their own need. One of the advantages of this place, which I think hasn't been thought about enough and can't be overstated, is that these people are able to be here without the burden of a mortgage. So they're able to start at a different baseline than other people in order to create a better life for themselves. So this model is almost like what you might call a void in the matrix, because it just really plays by different rules while working with really almost no budget at all.
There for several years, we had the lowest crime rate in this neighborhood. With 33rd, what we call 33rd estates out there with all the RVs, I don't think we're still at the lowest crime rate anymore, but if we didn't count them, we would be.
Yeah.
Because we take care of our own. If there's a thief here, if there's somebody who's violent, they get kicked out, and we make that choice. We as a village, so it helps.
Yeah.
We take care of our own, we police our own, and the old phrase, you don't in your own backyard, well, we try to make sure of that.
I transplanted myself here from Florida about 3 weeks ago. I didn't find out until after I got here. I mean, I thought I did my preparing, for about a year and a half I planned, mentally prepared for this, and I did whatever I could to plan, and I saved, but there's so many catch-22s with the way they run the system. It's like they don't want people moving here unless you have a ton of connections and money. They say you need an ID and proof of work to get a job, but some jobs won't. Well, not with a Florida, they all want a California ID and they all want a proof of work. So, but some jobs won't hire you unless you have California ID. So it's I kept hitting brick walls everywhere.
It's about 10 years ago. At that time in LA, there was a law you could not sleep in your car, your vehicle. So we had to drop it, and about 4.5 years ago, the law was changed, and we started up again. We have churches. We have 2 synagogues or 3 synagogues. We have city lots, county lots.
The idea is there's a lot of vacant lots in the city.
But let me look.
Is that the basic idea?
Oh, there are. Well, it's not necessarily vacant. You use like this. During the day it's used, and at night they let us use it.
This is the first location we've opened. So the rector, she's the first person that, along with her congregation,
they came to us wanting to be the first safe parking lot in Los Angeles.
And they are. People living in their vehicles are one step above the people living on the streets. But it's not comfortable. It is not something you want to do for the rest of your life. Yeah. Oh, here. Okay. The objective is to provide 12 hours of safe sleep for someone so they can face the next day and eventually, hopefully within a couple of months, find some living quarters.
I did not know until after I got here that they banned people from sleeping in their vehicles here. And then I kept looking and searching, and I'm like, okay, there's the green lines of okay zones, but then they didn't renew those. Well, so I'm like, where can I go now? And then I found this place.
There were green streets.
Yeah.
And there still are, but they made them fewer.
Yeah, like I looked on the website at first, and the green zones, they didn't renew them. Like June was when they cut it off, and that was right when I got here. Like it was July 7th.
Green zone being
like the roads that are safe. That
they
were
paint
supposed to be safe.
the curbs green, and they're allowed to park there at night.
Yeah, but like she said, they're shrinking. But the map I was looking at, they said that they didn't renew them, and so I was like looking online.
How did you find safe parking?
Yeah, I found the safe parking website.
And we give each person a placard to hang on their rear view mirror that has a number on it.
Yeah, we each get one of these once we're official.
Yeah. So that means you can keep. Have you been back a few times?
Oh, I've been here a solid almost 2 weeks now.
Same spot.
Yeah. I came here. I was invited to this particular lot, and I've been coming back here. Yeah.
So where are you during the day?
I mean, I usually go to Valencia. So I mean, I drive there and go to the library because it's like there's free parking and it's safe and it's quiet and it's it's easy to get around up there. So that's where I do to work and where I look to find work. So I don't have a bed. Okay. I mean, I just have like a couple pillows in the back, but I don't have like a whole lot. But I move all this stuff out of the way so I can like sleep on the pillows at night. Yeah, this is most of the stuff I came here from Florida with.
And then so you just put it off to the side.
Yeah.
Sleep back there. Is it comfortable enough?
It's comfortable enough. I have these side windows here. Okay. They open up to a screen. I can get air in when I close this at night, so I'm nice and secure. So.
And so did you expect to come and sleep in your car when you came?
I mentally prepared for it if I had to. I was kind of hoping. I didn't know that it was going to be so many like regulations and catch-22s put in place, like need California ID, need proof of work, need vehicle plates, or like, need registration, vehicle registration, need smog test. And it was like so many of these little things. And it's like, I didn't find that out until after I got here. And it's like, I was looking at all the sublets and they were all asking California ID, proof of work. And it's like, and yet you can't, some jobs you can't get without California ID. So it's like, how am I supposed to do that?
This is the basketball team, right?
Oh, yeah. But that's part of the local...
Sharing it.
Not interfering with the neighborhood. In fact, we're in it. We're part of the neighborhood. People in general will think that it's something that I don't want it in my neighborhood. So what we don't want to do is have people say, not in my backyard.
Well, most of my writing stuff is right in my old briefcase here. I got my computer, I got my notebook, I have my journal. The community that comes through here, they all come from like different walks of life, and they're all really, really nice people. Just in a point in their life where they're just kind of down on their luck, but we're all just trying to survive a temporary point in our lives. We're just trying to get through this, and all we have left is our cars. So, I mean, This is giving us an opportunity to sleep at night and not worry about needing to duck cops or evade parking tickets or try and sneak into some place to sleep and not get caught, you know. We have peace of mind here while we're trying to just get our lives back on track. Just my, you know, some of them stories based on experiences. So went to the Arleta DMV, completed getting my California plates for my truck. I am so damn close to being a full resident. I just need the driver's ID. I attempted to pass the written test, but failed 3 times, so I applied again. It must be noted from my anxiety that the entirety of the time I spent that it felt that some onlooker in a black sedan was staring at my efforts with the front plate. Perhaps they thought I was some ruffian in a polo, ripping off some poor soul's plates. Mind your own business. I could hear them in my head, begging the question, don't you have a driveway in the expensive home to do that? Shut up! I'm a hobo at the end of the world, a camping tourist. I'm still one of your despite appearances. Now I just need that license. Then I can get work for Postmates till I hear back from USC for that union steward position. Napoleon Hill, don't fail me now. So.
More expensive than a house.
Not cheap.
Yeah. See, it's as easy as that.
This thing is big. Wow, that's big. What is that?
Do you think there's a place for these sort of like informal housing and maybe even a settlement?
American favela is what you're asking for. Yeah. Right. So I noticed this in Maui in Hawaii. The smallest shack on Maui in Hawaii is $800,000. And yet there's cleaning ladies and gardeners and the hotel. Where do they live, right? Like how do they make those numbers work? And then you discover, well, there's in every town, in every county, there's a landfill, there's a power plant, there's a sewage treatment plant, and it's rich people who don't like living there. So the ordinary homes, you just pack a lot of people into them. So they're technically single-family homes, but they actually are de facto multifamily homes. Every room is a bedroom, you put bunk beds in, the garage is a studio apartment. That's the de facto, that's the sub rosa, it's the ad hoc. But if the authorities really cracked down on them, there'd be a problem because then all those businesses couldn't function without them.
I mean, everywhere we've gone this summer, we've seen vans and tents and tons of just informal settlements. It's happening.
Yeah. Here's the hopeful version. We had the same exact problem in the 1930s. They were the Hoovervilles. Hooverville, you know, Hoover was the president during the Great Depression, the early part of the Depression before Roosevelt. He was there when the crash happened in '29. And people were living in tents, large numbers of people. And there was this huge gap between how much you could earn at a job and what it cost to find a place to live. We solved those problems. It took 20 years. It took Roosevelt's programs. It took the war. It took all these new programs to come in. And the programs that we have now, 30-year mortgages backed by the federal government, zero interest loans and all that, they were the solutions to the last set of problems that have now become the new problems. So it's time for new institutions. I don't know what they'll be, but they will come, right? So one of the things about an older neighborhood that developed incrementally is that you have the same size lots. City lots in San Francisco are generally 25 feet wide and about 125 feet deep. You might have somebody who has the money who built one giant house on that lot. And then next door, there might be a duplex or a fourplex. And in this case, I think there are 20 units in it. So they're very small. They're like little tiny studios. And this happens to be on low-income housing that's organized through the church. But millionaires might live 5 doors down. You get a mix of people when you develop this way. So right now, San Francisco is hyper inflated in terms of the real estate values. But in the 1970s, it was incredibly cheap to live here. You know, if you ask some people, they say that the city was so much better in the 70s when it was at the bottom of the economy cycle, because you could just find a place to live. There was no pressure, there was no stress about it. Other people say that, well, that was the worst possible time for the city because it was dirty and run down and crime-ridden. You know, I know old people that paid almost nothing for these giant Victorian buildings in this neighborhood. And people said they were crazy for living here because, like, why would you want to live in such a horrible place? And then they became quite valuable. And now people are also saying, why would you live in this place? It's so crazy expensive. This is insane. Why are you here?
This home 3 years ago was like a warehouse, probably like it is across the street. So this is probably the furthest down the dog patch has evolved so far. So yeah, definitely. So
this is a house.
This is a house inside here, yes.
And this is my magnificent pod.
And so there's basically 2 other people in the room?
Three other people in the room.
Okay.
We had a guy last week for 4 days. I've been here like 3 months.
So there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
Okay.
I basically keep my tennis shoes here. A big bag of photographic film.
Are you a photographer?
Yes. But my actual job is I'm a computer programmer.
Okay.
I have an allergy against paying 10% of my paycheck or more for rent. And this is where my dirty clothes go, and then I have giant bag of film.
So do you mind being in a pod?
No, I sleep here. It's like a place where I sleep and an apartment that comes with its own friends. I've already had my permanent life. I was married, I have kids. The kid is all the way through college.
Yeah.
I'm here because my job is here, but it's too expensive to rent my own place.
What would be the price if you wanted an apartment? What would be your
One bedroom in this area would be $4,000, $5,000.
What do you pay for a pod?
About $1,200. We have a pretty nice common space.
Do you have your own?
These two.
Those 2. Okay.
And you get a section in the refrigerator. Bathroom is there. The job I have right now is the most high-paying job I've ever had in my life. And I can't afford a $5,000 a month apartment. So.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people that when I be like, oh, I'm living in an encampment. And they come and they like, well, hold on, I was waiting for a tent. Thanks to Home Depot. Really? For the things that they throw away, we were able to get.
So it's not a coincidence you're next to Home Depot.
Right.
So you got all this out of the dump?
All out the dumpster. My thing is everybody that's homeless is not on drugs. You know, it's a lot of us out here because of financial reasons. I came back from Arizona. Everything out here is sky high. If your rent is $2,500 a month, that's $7,500 just to get in the door. Then I have to turn around and come up with another $2,500 for the following month. That's $10,000 I just had to come up with in 2 months. It's impossible. It's impossible to live out here. Before the houses was built, this is how people lived. We just got to show them this is what we're really trying to do.
You have a generator? What is that?
I have a power box.
So you have...
Yes, I have electricity.
How does that work?
There's a lady that actually has a generator, and I just run my extension cord to her, and then I charge up the box. But I'm trying to get my own generator. I have a jump start generator, and then you could put, yeah, it's dead. That's why I want to see how it goes. Red, green. You can hand crank it. It's just a lot of work. I mean, it's a workout. You get strong, but it's, you know, it's like, it's a lot of work. But yeah, it works.
So you could hand crank that to get
enough juice to last for your phone. Because I'm just really doing my phones.
So you're able to, I mean, what do you use electricity for?
Lights and our phone. I work off my phone, and what I do is I go to my app and then go to the nearby jobs. This is the main one. I do good eggs. Whenever I want to, I can click on, like if I have my car today, I can click on and I can go to any one of these. Like I tell them, learn how to prioritize and spend your money on what you need. Like next month, I will be getting my portable toilet. Camping shower.
How's it work?
You just fill it up with the water. It's 5 gallons.
Okay.
You just put the hose back on once you fill it up. And then we just sit it in the sun. Let it sit for 3 hours and you'll have you hot water.
So a lot of camp stuff that translates to kind of off-grid.
Yeah. You just got to know how to make it work. So what we do is we see the hose right here.
Okay.
You just have it attached to the water.
Okay, so you have water.
Yes.
Okay.
We take this barrel, put the water in the barrel, heat it up on here, which is the stove.
Gas stove then?
Propane.
Propane, okay.
And then this is our motor for the pump. And then shower.
And is there coverage?
It's all the way up.
And it's a shower tent.
Yeah. So that's our community shower. I tell people, like a lot of people I meet that just moved here. Why are you here? Oh, well, you know, I was coming for a better life. Do you not see all these homeless people out here trying to make it better for themselves?
It is. Anywhere in the world at this point is
cheaper than the Bay Area. I lived in Fresno. 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, $650 a month. Here, you're looking at about $3,000-$4,000. And then a lot of the officials and everybody tell you, go sign up for Section 8, go sign up for housing. It's like a lot of us been on the list for over 10 years and there's nothing happening. Okay. And then shelters are full. Okay. So our next step is doing what we're doing. Most encampments, you see them shooting up dope. You see them smoking all over the place. You don't see none of that here. None of that, because that's not what our encampment is about. You know what I mean? We're all trying to live, have somewhere to call our own. Everybody, you know, that is homeless or transient is not just trying to live and have anything just look unappeasable. Even though we on the street, you can still make it your home. You know? But it had a big kid sign.
When you live in a 1-bedroom apartment, there's not a lot of space for things. And I'm very keen on emergency preparedness. So what I have in here are these 5-gallon buckets. And this is a queen-size bed, and I have 24 of these buckets. And this is basmati rice, and there's wheat, and there's all this other stuff in here.
Why do you think it is that you're prepared and it bothers you and it doesn't bother anyone else?
So growing up, I experienced lots of different challenges. I was born to teenage parents who had the right intentions but no resources. And we sort of went through one series of difficulties after the other when I was a kid. We lived in a Volkswagen van, like a little pop-top camper van when I was little. It was 1967. As a family, we were having an adventure until it stopped being an adventure. And my parents divorced when I was little, and my father and the van disappeared, and that was the end of that. We never saw them again. All right, so it's my mom and my aunt and my grandmother. So my mom reached out to her older sister, my aunt, who had a young child as well, my older cousin, and the 4 of us managed to scrape by living in vehicles. We lived in the car. And we found the gas stations that had decent bathrooms, and we found the laundrettes that we could hang out in the daytime when we needed to. And both women worked really hard. They were waitresses, and they took different shifts so that one of them was in the car to look after us kids. And we would start school, and they would ask for your address. And I think my cousin just wrote our license plate number one day, you know? And that set off alarm bells at the school because, like, you know, that was a problem, right? My mom was really trying to work with no resources whatsoever. She was actually trying to hold the family together, and she did. We eventually got an apartment. It wasn't great. And then there were other periods in our lives where we went ahead a little bit and then we fell back. She never wanted to say we were homeless because that wasn't really how she felt about it. But we were living in a car. We were bathing at gas stations. And I think that other people who have never had those experiences don't understand that there's a broad spectrum of homelessness, that sometimes you're homeless for all sorts of reasons, and it's very often a temporary situation that you limp through until you get to something better.
For 20 years I had a house in Nevada, and then I've been out here for 2 or 3 years. For a while I was stuck in this spot. My truck broke down and I had no money and I could not get out of town. There's no work here. It was but I was trapped in paradise. I don't know. I've never really looked for it. Was actually a beautiful thing because there's a couple of food banks and you can actually survive with no money in your pocket. It's a special town. This town's kind of unique in that it's amazing that it hasn't been discovered, because if people knew about it, yeah, I don't know. You're not supposed to tell people if you're ever on media, you don't mention where you are. Okay. That's how it's always been out here, actually, since like the 1920s, when they used to have a bunch of poets that were up here. And they were all writing stories about all the poets, and the poets were very popular, but they couldn't tell anybody where they were because they were all here. And if people found that out, they'd come here and ruin it.
Tell me about how you ended up at this spot.
In Belize?
Yeah.
Well, I used to come here surfing all the time. So I knew of its existence. And then I had a house in Nevada for 20 years and lost that to foreclosure. And I knew that Belize is a place where you can do this.
What do you mean by that? Really? Like, people are more accepting here, you think?
Yeah, I don't know of any place else that you can... Well, there are places, people are doing it other places, but Marin County, you're constantly being moved along. Out here, it's 72 hours for the parking, and that's not enforced. I move all the time. I just pull up, so I drive around all the time, but a lot of people don't. They just stay here until they get a yellow sticker. The sheriffs don't do anything until somebody calls to complain.
And
people do call and complain, but not very often because they know that it doesn't matter. The guy's just going to be one spot down.
So legally, you can be 72 hours in one spot.
Correct.
That's totally, and sleep in your van. Or your.
Yeah, that's legal.
That's legal.
Yes.
Okay. And anywhere else? Can you sleep in your van in somewhere like in San Francisco or in other places?
I'm not sure. I think it's come down. I think the courts have all decided that it's completely legal to sleep in your vehicle. Because if you're homeless, you have to sleep under it? I mean, you have to go sleep on a park bench and leave your car alone? It doesn't make any sense. And some guy that was homeless, he was waiting for his girlfriend who worked at a pizza place, and he fell asleep in the car that he lives in. But he was waiting for her to get off work, so where's the line? He was just waiting for her to get off work. It's a car. It's registered. It's in a legal space. So that's where everything got cloudy. And different cities have had this issue, and it is a problem for the cities because all the people are using the services. You don't know where their poop's going. So it's an issue. So there's people that conform. There's people that they don't care. They're drug addicts and whatever. So there's two sets out here. There's two sets everywhere in every community. There's people that are, trying to live a decent life and choose this, and there are people that ended up here but still trying to live a decent life, and then there's the drug addicts. When I first bought my house, it seemed ridiculous, unattainable, and then it got cheap as time went on, and then I lost it due to whatever, all kinds of situations and circumstances. And now I can't even imagine trying to jump through the hoops to even rent an apartment anymore. To pay that much money to be someplace I really don't want to be doesn't make sense. I'm here.
So for you...
I can walk to the beach. I mean, everything's here.
So for you, it's partly a choice.
Now it's completely a choice. Okay. Absolutely.
But at one point you did lose.
I had a house and I never would have picked this. Hell no. Never. But it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. If I could go back and you give me my house and say, you know what, the next year's free on mortgage, but after that you go back to your, $1,600 a month payment, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't even take the house back just because that house owned me. I worked for it to pay for it all week long, and then on the weekend I worked on it. It was ridiculous. Half the things in the house were to take care of the house. Vacuum cleaners, ladders, all this crap to take care of the house. It's kind of strange.
So then you bought an RV, or how did the?
I just got this one, $3,500.
Wow. Okay.
35,000 miles. It's a 1992. It'll drive longer than I need it to. The body's going to fall off. But because of the water damage, I can fix that. It won't continue. But the water damage made it affordable for me to use as a disposable RV. I don't have to worry about hurting it or depreciation, anything like that. All the way in the back, there's a shower in the very back corner, and then there's a toilet.
So you don't use the tub?
Well, I just got this thing, so I haven't really. Right now, stuff's in there. Don't stop, buddy. This is the bed, obviously.
Okay.
Refrigerator. Okay. It's not on yet.
I
gotta get gas and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I just got this like a week ago. So far, everything works. I haven't put gas in it yet. Propane gas, but the water works.
Oh, yeah.
And this works.
Wow.
I have a generator. It works. I'm gonna get solar so I don't have to use a generator. The solar will power everything I need. I mean, I have no bills. I have a $60 bill a month for unlimited Wi-Fi. This right here is a router. This thing can hook up 15 devices of any kind.
Yeah.
$60 a month. That's it. Now you don't need a cell phone. You don't need anything.
We were just talking to a guy in town, and he was saying that there's some people who are starting to talk in town about what to do about all the people parked here.
It's another, that happens all the time.
It does.
Yeah. There is a certain amount of tolerance, but Bolinas has always been in a constant state of flux in that all these houses over here, probably 7 out of 10 are owned by people that are using them for bed and breakfast now. So they're out of town people that are using them as investments, and they care about their property value. Obviously, all homeowners would. But most people that come to Bolinas know what Bolinas is, and they wouldn't buy a house here if they didn't want to. They are accepting of the unusual people and culture and actually enjoy it. And,
Which is
they
part
think that's part of the fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is. But those people, once they're looking at investments, if they get one bad review on Yelp, they're, oh my God, we've got to get rid of all these homeless people. They're ruining our business. And it's not. I mean, they're going to keep renting their place out. And these people have been here, they'll be here. Like right now, this is an unincorporated city, but they're trying to pass something where if you don't have an address here on this street, you can't park your vehicle here, which would be ridiculous because this is not a city. There's no jurisdiction. There's no government in place that has authority to do so. There's no police department here. There's nothing. Everything reverts back to county. All of us, we know that the people that have trash around their vehicles, any possessions outside of their vehicles, that's a problem. Because it just looks bad, and it looks like you're moving in, you're not ready to go, you're not going anywhere, and it's just, there's a guy down there with a broken surfboard and a refrigerator, and he lives in a car. You're not gonna. People lose their minds out here.
So you think that people should be a little more respectful of the common space?
Yeah, but then again, a lot of the people that are here because there is something wrong with them, and there's no place for them to go. It's not like you can't lock them up in the crazy bin because they don't belong there, so they're here. And what do you do with them? But that's what upsets these people. And then they don't really have compassion for the humans that have no place to go. There are some kind of hostile, crazy people. But what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
They still, they don't belong in prison. They don't belong in a psych ward. So they're here with us. This town is just bizarre that it's left alone. Yeah. Every once in a while, there's a flood of people that come through. Then when that happens, then they start getting chased out. The sheriff starts running them out. But there's really nothing they can do as long as everybody parks legally and behaves.
The van dwellers are everywhere. And so there's this blue van there, right? Yeah. There's a blue sprinter van. You can see there's solar panels on the roof. and there's a little ventilation unit, and you see these all over the city, and these are basically homes. There's all these different versions of home. Like if you ask the people who are living in that Sprinter van, they're not going to say they're homeless. They're like, no, this is my home. You know, I have a job, I work, this is where I live, because it's just insane to try to pay crazy rents here. And very often their jobs are mobile, so they might be in one place for a few weeks or a month and they'll be someplace else. I've seen families living in these. You know, you can see through the windows that they're making dinner and they're sitting down to the table and stuff. And this is basically what I did when I was a kid too. It's a structural problem. You can generally get a loan for a $50,000 or $60,000 new Sprinter van where you can't qualify for an apartment. So there's that weird, like, you know, what institutional finance mechanisms allow you to enter one thing but not another. Yeah. But then there's the people who are like, you know, you're gonna spend $600 on some really sad old Winnebago that's held together with tape, and that limits where you can park it, right? And then when it fails, you have to pay to repair it, and you don't always have the money for that. So you have to park it in a place where it can stay for long periods of time as you're trying to get it to run again.
I just moved here. I've only been here about 3 weeks.
Are you looking for work? Are you traveling?
I'm looking for work, yeah.
In what?
Tech.
And so rents are too much?
Well, yeah, obviously. I don't have a job yet. But you know, it's so great. It's so fun. You know, I might just keep doing it after I get a job and save money.
It is fun. It's not hard.
Well, it's a lot more work. There's just a lot more like daily things I have to do. You know, take apart my bed and put it together, drive first thing in the morning somewhere where I can park it, find a bathroom. It's just more things you have to think about and more things you have to do. More safety concerns.
Yeah.
I was sleeping, I was over in Alameda, and someone came and checked the lock on my door, like to see if it was unlocked at 3 in the morning. It took me a while to get back to sleep from that one. So there's just this underlying, you know, kind of insecurity that comes with it. But
where do you move from?
Portland.
Okay. And so you came knowing that the idea is that there's going to work here. Are you bacon? That's impressive. It smells great.
I mean, I didn't have to come to San Francisco, but it is like the tech center of the world.
What do you you do? Hash browns?
Oh yeah, it's potatoes, just high wages and the full deal.
Do you think you'll be able to get work?
I haven't started looking yet, but I've been training myself for the last year in self-study. So I'm just about at the point where I'm ready.
Yeah. The bed is what?
This table like moves down here, and then these cushions go here and I sleep that way.
Okay.
And then this can pull out and can be another bed. So it can sleep 4 people. Wow. But I just use that as storage.
Yeah.
And it's got a back compartment area where I put more of my gear and stuff.
Did you buy it for this trip or did you have it?
I had it, yeah.
Okay, so that was
I've lived out of it before. It was
you have? Okay.
7 years ago. This is my first rodeo. I'm familiar with the lifestyle.
And you have a refrigerator? Does it work?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Probably original from the 80s, early 80s. Just like everything.
So you have internet connection?
Yeah, actually, I found out the park here where I'm staying like has free Wi-Fi. So I can study and stuff in the van.
But you can plug in.
Yeah, I got a little inverter here. I bust this out sometimes. Just charge my laptop or my phone. Got a little hose there for filling up the water tank. I have to like, you know, go pirate water sometimes, like like bottle water key so I can like pull up and you know, steal water sometimes.
No way, just off of like
just like some faucet on the side of some building.
Well, you can also stand up, which makes a big difference. I think those vans where you have to be crouched in, this feels livable.
Oh yeah, this is a very comfortable van.
This is a beautiful, I mean, the views here are incredible.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's beautiful here. That's part of the reason I like it, just being on the water, and it's a little nicer. And I used to be, you know, a little grungier myself, and it's easier to get away with it now. People see me like parking in front of their house, and they're like, okay, he's probably, you know, he might be okay, you know. So I can go under the radar a little bit more. even though I have a camper van and it's pretty clear, you know, that what's going on.
Do you think you'll be able to afford rent here if you get a job? I mean, have you looked at rent? Do you have any idea?
Well, tech pays pretty well, so I could, yeah. But it's still outrageous. And, you know, I figure I could take that money and just save it, the money that I would have spent on rent, and just save it and come out way ahead. You know, I take my breakfast very seriously. We got full, you know, multiple courses. You know, there's a long historical precedent of not accepting this kind of lifestyle. But it doesn't really make sense in the modern age. You can't have like really high rents and people being dispossessed and at the same time making it illegal not to pay that rent. Right? That doesn't seem ethical to me.
We've been here long enough to know where and where not to be at what times. So we like to mix it up and leave here for, well, how long? We haven't parked here for a long time.
Couple months. Months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They kicked us out, so.
What happened?
Oh, well, we were sitting up front. He was doing homework over here.
Okay.
And I was sitting over here in the driver's seat, and the police came from the opposite side of the street and pulled over to our side and said, hey, you guys got to move. We've been getting too many phone calls that you guys been parking here. And then so he recommended a place for us to stay in.
What do you
recommend?
recommend?
Just left. He recommended Ocean Beach with all the other van dwellers.
So there are definitely places that the police will say, like, that's acceptable. And there's places that they want to kind of shepherd everybody to.
Yeah.
Sounds like, right? Okay.
But I don't want to stay over there. I like it over here.
Yeah.
We volunteer at this Fort Mason. Yeah.
What do you volunteer for?
Just doing the habitat for the plants, doing
nice.
weeding and mulching.
It's kind of, you can make your community. I mean, you're residents of San Francisco, so you can do all the same things that anyone else would do if you had an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Park right here, love. See, this is what we got kicked out of. This is why. And then every morning we'll open the curtains and we'll see Golden Gate Bridge.
That's great.
I've been living in RVs for 17, 18 years. I refuse to pay rent, basically.
Why?
I refuse to make somebody else rich. And if I don't like the neighborhood, I just start and leave.
How long have you been in San Francisco?
35 years.
Have you noticed a change in numbers as far as people coming out living in their vans?
Very much so. I would tell you that it's easily 80%. People that start living in RVs and vans and all that. Easy. And I mean, they're people, there's a guy who comes soon and he's an electrical engineer and a contractor, electrical contractor. You got doctors, they're doing it. Everything from all walks of life. People pay, what, $5-6 million to have this view? I get it for free. But we have to respect this place. We get it for free. Every morning I go, I clean the beach, I pick up all the garbage from the beach and all that. Because I don't know if you've been like Southern Market, there's a different kind of community that lives. Those are more questionable and people that will profit on other people's misery, thieves. They live in RVs and tents, but it's totally different type of people. Over there, it's survival. Over there, it's the jungle. And if you go over there, it's 180 degrees from us.
Americans want to blame the individual because, well, obviously you're just lazy, you're stupid, you made poor decisions. It's not that that's not always true, it's just that how hard is it to correct after you've screwed up? Or how much of it was imposed on you? And if I lived in a tent under the freeway, I would have vodka for breakfast every morning too. I really would. Because, like, what else are you gonna do? So it's not just like you have to find a job, but then you need first month's rent, you need a security deposit, you need to get the utilities connected, you need to pass a credit test. Well, how do you do any of those things starting at nothing? And it's really hard. When you see people living on the street, you could say, they're alcoholic, they're drug addicts, they're schizophrenic. There's all the long list of reasons why they're living on the street. But how do they stop living on the street, right? And how many of them started out being hardworking, decent, normal people who are trying to pay all their bills on a minimum wage salary when the price of the real estate just kept going up exponentially? San Francisco used to have lots of naturally occurring market rate affordable housing. They were old apartment buildings that were run down in bad neighborhoods, and very often you could rent a room. You didn't get an apartment, you rented a room, and there was a shared bathroom down the hall, and there was no kitchen. You would go out into the city and you'd have your meals out at a canteen or something. And the city made a conscious decision decades ago to remove them, or to radically renovate them and to bring them up to a higher standard. Because the city said, let's have better quality people, more economic development, let's tear those down and build hotels and convention centers and pull in revenue, which is a reasonable thing for a city to want to do. At the same time, the cities were trying to improve their demographic and pull in businesses and tax revenue.
Is that one fine?
The suburbs were figuring out how to make sure that only people above a certain economic level were going to live there. And so you had laws that said every piece of land had to be this big, and every house had to be a minimum size, and every house had to have a 2-car garage and a this and a that. It was a way of filtering out lower income people. You couldn't say, we don't want you to live here because we don't like who you are. They'll just say, anybody can live here if you can meet this basic price point. As the decades went on and more places were removed and the new replacements were much more expensive, it just meant that the options for people lower down were, and I understand why people would do this. It's a rational thing for a municipality to do. Why would you want to attract lower income people with less money who had more problems, right? When everybody did this for 50, 60 years, the end result is that there is no place for them to live. And while that was going on, we also had the mental health situation where there was a point in time when Americans had asylums. If you were really crazy, if you had a serious mental illness, there was a place that the government would keep you. And these were not good places. I'm not arguing that they were great. They were pretty bad most of the time. But there was a place that they were kept, they were housed, as bad as they were. Both conservatives and liberals combined to close them down. So they got together and they said, we're just going to shut down all of the asylums. And that's when the 1,000 points of light were supposed to step in. The churches and all the nonprofit organizations were going to soak up it, and nobody ever did. So when you look at people living in tents, because where else are they going to go?